Blessed are you who hunger, blessed are you who thirst, blessed are you who mourn and feel no power on this earth, blessed are you who are poor in spirit and don't know what to do. Oh, child of God, blessed are you. Blessed are you. Oh, blessed are you. Oh, child of God, blessed are you. In the midst of the morning we open.
Hearts to take it all in and give it all back in our way. Let us sing of the beauty around us. Let us sing of the beauty within. Oh, hear the earth tell that all shall be well. Anam Cara, so friend.
For the earth forever turning, for the skies, for every sea, for our lives and all creation, sing we our joyful song of peace. For the earth we raise our voices, for the home that gives us birth. In our joy we sing, returning home to our blue-green hills of
Every ray of sunshine, every drop of rain, every time the wind blows, I hear your name. Every time a flower grows, or a baby cries, everything that's young and old lives and dies. And I don't know what's out there see eternity through infinite eyes. If my words did glow with the gold of sunshine, and my tunes were played on the harp unstrung, would you hear my voice come through the music? Would you hold it near as it were your own? It's a hand-me-down. The thoughts are broken. Perhaps they're better left unsung. I don't know. Don't really care. Let there be songs to fill the air. Ripple in still waters where there is no pebble toss, no wind to blow. Reach out your hand if your cup be empty. If your cup is full, let it be again. Let it be known there is a fountain that was not made by the hands of men. Awake, my soul. Awake, my soul. Awake, my soul. You were made to meet your maker. You were made to meet your maker. You were made to meet your maker. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, singers. Thank you, band. That was a walk through time, and it felt good. Felt good. All right, a little bit of tech. If you have one of these, make sure it is turned all the way off or in airplane mode with the little airplane all lit up. That helps us send a good signal out to those of you who are in internet land, and we welcome you this morning. Glad you're here with us. Just another reminder about COVID. We are staying masked today and doing the best we can as it surges and changes day to day and week to week. But I'm delighted you're here. Delighted those of you who don't feel comfortable being present are out there, and thank you to our tech team for making that possible. All right, folks, today we are dancing through the Vias. So Jubilee holds creation spirituality at its core, a belief in a mystical universe where we dance through the cycles of the natural world with the divine mystery as our dance partner. Each quarter, we focus on one of these paths: positiva, negativa, creativa, and transformativa. Just as each week we call in the 4 directions. And here where we live, in this part of the hemisphere, we will go through the 4 seasons. And we spiral through these energies of these paths, letting each bless us with its unique wisdom. Understanding that the negativa is as much a blessing as the positiva. Just as fall is as valuable as spring, sunsets as beautiful as sunrises. These 4 paths don't require us to hold on to any particular dogma, though you could always walk your dogma down the path if you want to see what happens. The paths make room for the wisdom of all sorts of different faith traditions, and they encourage us to learn from the creation itself. The dance through the Vias is not a line dance where we can all learn the same steps and walk in the same way. It's more like an ecstatic dance that wakes our whole body up to the music of the universe. So come on, jubilants. Let's dance ourselves into some song.
Good morning, Jubilee. It's so wonderful to be back and to be in the dancing spirit of maybe we don't know exactly what we're dancing for. Maybe we're dancing for something of the past or the present or the future, or maybe we're dancing for all 3. And in this time, as we reflect back upon the Vias and creation spirituality and where we all come from, let's remember that we all are just that. What it says in one of the readings today about that molten lava, that in the Cherokee tradition that all people were born from the very molten lava, the lifeblood of the earth. So with that, let's go back to those very origins, the core of who we are. Let's go back to a time before there were all these things that distract us from the very essence of life. Earth, water, air, fire. And if you will, face to the east, please. Oh, spirits of the east, all the living beings of the fire nation, we thank you. We thank you for the seasons in which you offer light, warmth, direction, hope. Thank you for the light that lives within us so that we might dance toward the light with gracefulness, with humility in our heart, with honor, love, respect, and compassion. In these times, we ask you to continue to shine in our lives as we honor you and dance for you in a good way. Aho. Face to the south, please. Aho, spirits of the south. To all the living beings of the water nations, we thank you for your awesomeness. We thank you for each and every heartbeat that you live so that we might live. Thank you for the connection to all things that are life. Thank you for nurturing our soul and our spirit. Continue to quench our thirst for the great mystery. Continue to flow with us. We ask you to have love, compassion, and honor on those on your path and your journey, cloud people and thunder beings. We ask you to journey in a gentle way, in a loving way. In a good way, we ask you. Aho. Face to the west, please. Aho, spirits of the west, to all the ancestors that have gone before, to those that represent the imagination and the visions of the future, speak with us. Share with us the secrets of the other side of the veil. We ask you, ancestors, to continue to share your voice and your wisdom with us. Even in darkness, rest us assured that you are there with your comforting heart and your spirit. Know that we welcome you with each and every breath of our life in a good way. Aho. Face to the north, please. Aho, spirits of the north, we thank you. We thank you for the very air that we breathe. We thank you, Wind Nation, and all the living beings within for your greatness and all that you share with us. The songs of the birds and the songs of the wind whistling through the trees and across the water. We ask you to remind us of the language of nature and silence. Teach us and reteach us. Help us to be reborn in your presence, to breathe new life into the future. We thank you for coming into our lives, and we honor you with love, compassion, and honor in a good way. Oh. If you will, face to center, please. Thank you, Mother Earth. Thank you, all ancestors of the universe. Thank you for sharing your breath and your connection so that we might live, so that we might know the greatness and the beauty of the life that we see before us. Guide us. Guide us as we dance. Sing to us the songs. Teach us the words of nature and of all things of the old ways in a good way. Oh.
As we join in our opening song, Let's Feed the Hungry.
So you may have heard this song a while back. It's a sing-along. So that's what we're going to do. All together. All my life's a circle, sunrise and sundown. The moon rolls through the nighttime till the daybreak comes around. All my life's a circle, but I can't tell you why. but then we lose each other. It's just like a children's game. As I find you here again, a thought runs through my mind. Our love is like a circle. Let's go around one more time. Okay, now twice as loud. All my life's a circle, sunrise and sundown. The moon rolls through the nighttime till the daybreak comes around. All my life's a circle, but I can't tell you why. The seasons spin again, the years keep rolling by.
Okay, Jubilee in action with our very own Michele Bernhardt.
Okay, this is turned on for me, yay. So, y'all know that Daniel Barber's celebration of his retirement is going to be next Sunday. And there are links to ways that you can join in the celebration and be part of it in the newsletter and in the JIA page of the website. And that link to the JIA page of the website's right on the home page. It's easy to find. You can make a tribute video, which just takes a few minutes, and no tech knowledge. It just walks you through the process. Real easy to do. We're also doing a website gratitude page, so you can email me, and my email's up there too, words that you'd like to share with Daniel. Some people have sent us some photos of Daniel throughout the years that post on it, so all those kind of things. Just nothing too racy. So anyway, tribute videos and the messages and the photos and the poems and all the other good stuff are due by Tuesday. So if you're going to participate in this, please join us by then. So today is the last day that Julie Parker's artwork is going to be in the hospitality room. And as you know, part of the proceeds go to benefit the Hunger Fund. Well, for those of you who are staying after the mini retreat, you know that y'all are going to pick up your lunches there. And consider the fact that not everybody has nutritious lunches. So what we are hoping is that Julie has put all her artwork on sale for 50% off. And part of those proceeds go to the Hunger Fund. So this is your last chance to contribute to the Hunger Fund in that way. So I hope some of you all will think about doing that. Let's see, Jubilant Dr. Paula Hartman-Stein is offering a 2-part online workshop entitled Love Thy Nature. And it's exploring how nature enhances our well-being and takes place on Thursdays starting August 26th from 7 to 9 p.m. And then beginning on September 21st, the Creation Care Alliance is once again offering their 9-week online study of All We Can Save. And this is a compilation of essays from women at the forefront of the climate movement with an emphasis on equity and justice, so a really interesting thing to do. And finally, keep those blossoms coming. They look really pretty. And that's it for Jubilee in Action today.
This wasn't on the schedule, but as I saw that we have Brian Swim mentioned here, I want to announce that on September 22nd, I'm going to be co-facilitating a 9-month leadership workshop through the Deep Time Network with Brian Swim about leadership within the creation spirituality world. And if you want to know more about that, I'll have more information next week. Please contact me about it, and it's a perfect time to delve deeper into what we're celebrating here at Creation Spirituality. Thank you.
Thank you, Yona. I just love saying, is this thing on? That's in reference to me, not the microphone. So we're celebrating and dancing through the Vias. We know them. Positiva, negativa, transformativa. What about your views? The Pareditiva? The Howardativa? The Nanativa? The Danielativa? The Deliativa? That sounds really good. That's fun. The Yonaativa? The Venitativa? We say here at Jubilee that all creation speaks volumes of God. That means the Afghanistanativa, the Hurricaneativa, all of it. All of it. The falling in love ativa, the adopting a puppy ativa, the being hungry ativa. All creation speaks volumes of God. And we speak loudest sometimes when we pray. So I invite you as we go into this prayer time, bring and sing your bowls and bells, light candles at our western wall. Those of you that are online, put your prayers in the chat. They are heard and they are cared for. All this joy, all this sorrow, all this promise, all this pain. Such is life, such is being, such is spirit. Such is love. Such is love. Such is love. So may it be. And after we sing together, I invite you to share God's peace.
From
It's that circle thing's got us dizzy. So, I invite you to breathe deeply. From a contemplation on the Tao Te Ching, chapter 40, all things are interconnected and interdependent, and from this concept comes the behavior of polarity. When something increases, something else decreases. Breathe in, breathe out. It's how everything begins and ends. And as we speak, become conscious of exhales and inhales. Exhales when things look big and inhales when things look small. This is the cosmic background radiation, the furthest that we can perceive any light or energy at 13.8 billion light years, of a universe estimated to be 93 billion light years in diameter. Become conscious of an inhale. A quark, one of the smallest imaginable forms of matter. It's essential to our understanding of the still expanding universe. An exhale. The most distant image yet. A supernova when the universe was only 630 million years old. For perspective, the Earth is estimated to be 4.5 billion years old. Atoms. It's the stuff of what we are. Your mind and your thoughts are atoms. Everything is reduced to and built from atoms. The observable universe is comprised of 350 billion large galaxies and 30 billion trillion stars. 30 billion trillion stars. Everything we know is because of one. Molecules. They're the beginnings of relationships on the most minuscule scale. Their shape gives us life. A black hole at the center of a neighboring galaxy, only decades ago, theoretical, just as atoms once were. A photon, a single massless quantum of light, a bit of light. It's how and why we see and live. From researcher Linda Moulton Howe, we experience photons in space and time. However, there is no space and time for a photon. It experiences the entire universe as a single point. It experiences all of the time in a single moment. A single moment. Our galactic core spans millions of light years. The Milky Way is a spiral which churns in the fruitful dark ripe for creation, and then the human eye itself made from a spiral which churned in the dark, ripe for creation. It's made to catch photons. Our own timeless field of stars that we can see at night. Our bodies are the exhalations of stars. In in-breaths and out-breaths, in eyes opened and closed, we are never not in creation's reimagining over and over again. The Big Bang. That's you. And something much larger than you. Something much larger than us. The pale blue dot, as Carl Sagan once said, that's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you've ever known, everyone you've ever loved. Breathe in. Breathe out. You are nature. Increase and decrease. Breathing in and breathing out. It's how everything begins and ends. Thank you.
I am, whoo, two of these together maybe don't work so well. I'm going to invite both our Sunday morning team and our retreat afternoon team to come forward for our first reading. And after that visual extravaganza of what is creation, from the smallest to the largest of our understanding, we will read the 6 essential tenets. Whoops. Let me get my own reading. This is from Sid Hall. Creation spirituality is the idea that divinity permeates all things, and all things have the imprint of divinity. Yet the sum of all things does not fully encompass the mystery of the divine. There are 6 essentials to creation's spirituality.
The universe and all life within it is fundamentally a blessing.
It is through the work of spiritual practice that we move beyond fear into compassion and discover our deep and true selves.
I feel like I'm on Phil Donahue or something. The spiritual journey can be understood as a dance moving in and out of 4 mystical paths: awe, delight, gratitude, and joy, known as the via positiva; uncertainty, darkness, suffering, letting go, known as the via negativa; birthing, creativity, and passion, known as the via creativa; justice, healing, celebration, rebirth, and resurrection, known as the via transformativa.
Every one of us carries within us the capacity to be a mystic, to be creative, to be a visionary, and to be an agent for positive change. It is our responsibility to cultivate these capacities for the benefit of Earth and all its creatures.
We rejoice in and courageously honor the rich diversity within the cosmos, which is expressed in every individual and embodies multiple cultures, religions, and ancestral traditions.
Ecological and social justice are our priority as imperatives for the healing, sustainability, and harmony among our species and the entire Earth community.
Thank you, and so it is. Here we go. Dancing through the microphones. And two quotes from Brian Swim. This is the greatest discovery of the scientific enterprise. You take hydrogen gas and you leave it alone, and it turns into rosebuds, giraffes, and humans. And 4 billion years ago, the planet Earth was molten rock, and now it sings opera. Friends, this is ancient wisdom and holy word.
Thanks be to all that is wise and holy.
All creation is wisdom and holy word.
All creation sings the wisdom of God. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Well, after growing up in a small town in the rural Midwest and then attending a small college, I decided I needed something bigger. So I moved to Manhattan at age 22. I loved nearly everything about New York City in the 1980s before it got cleaned up and almost gentrified to death. I loved the subway. I loved walking all over the island, dancing at late night dives in the East Village, free events in Central Park, poetry readings and modern dance at local churches, working with the unhoused population at one of my churches and a food advocacy group at the other, eating every imaginable ethnic food and continually experiencing the whole wide world at my doorstep when I walked to work each morning. I walked around New York in an almost constant state of awe and delight, the proverbial country cousin in the big city. One Sunday morning, some friends and I decided to head down to the Cathedral of St. John the Divine for worship. Now, St. John the Divine is one of the 5 largest churches in the world. Take that in for a moment. It's really big. Turned out that we had picked the Feast of St. Francis to attend. And like Jubilee, the cathedral has an annual blessing of the animals on that Sunday. So as we took our seats, we realized that we were surrounded by animals. Dogs, cats, birds, hamsters, snakes. Those last two really shouldn't be sitting close to each other. The cathedral was filled with hundreds of humans and hundreds of other creatures. And then the processional began. And down this enormous cathedral's central aisle began a parade of every kind of animal. I mean, all kinds of animals. Horses, sheep, goats, llamas, a giraffe, an elephant. Animals large and small solemnly processing down the middle of the room to the altar at the front. It was like nothing I had ever seen. And accompanying the procession or the artist in residence, the Paul Winter Consort. It sounds like some of you know the Paul Winter Consort. How many of you know the Paul Winter Consort? I know this guy does. I know this guy does. Well, I didn't until that moment, and I became immediately enthralled. The Paul Winter Consort is one of the earliest exponents of world music. The group pioneered earth music, or ecological jazz, interweaving classical, jazz, and world music with voices from nature, what Winter calls the greatest symphony of the earth. They're renowned for their winter and summer solstice celebrations and for incorporating earth sounds from wind and water to whales and wolves into their music. And on that first Sunday of October each year at the cathedral, they perform their Earth Mass. If I thought that walking around Manhattan brought me into awe and delight, I hadn't seen nothing yet. I mean, every one of my senses was fully engaged. And before the end of worship, Winter had the entire congregation howling like wolves. I still get chills thinking about it. That day, in that magnificent architectural artifice, with the sights and sounds and smells of hundreds of creatures, and the reverberations of that jazz mass, both earthy and otherworldly, I was in a full-bodied via positiva moment. Awe, delight, joy, gratitude. Now, you don't have to attend that intense an event to be plunged into the via positiva. A ruby-throated hummingbird might do it. Or the sound of your baby cooing with infant pleasure. Or the sudden sweetness of your lover's finger softly touching your arm. Or the first bite of a strawberry in spring. Or the sound of an old friend on the phone. Take a deep breath. And remember such a moment in your life. Close your eyes. Feel it in your body. Breathe it in. A via positiva moment. Awe. Delight. Joy. Gratitude. This is the via that brings us into the presence of original blessing, that awakens us to the goodness of life, the goodness of this moment, the goodness of our own souls. I suspect that everyone here today has had many such moments right here in this room. Take a moment and remember such a moment right here at 46 Wall Street. A via positiva moment. Breathe it in. Of the four vias, the four paths, like the four directions, is that life is never stagnant. We don't stay in the via positiva forever. Heck, we probably couldn't even handle it if we did. Being fully in love with life, grateful, joyful, delighted with goodness, inevitably leads to the experience of loss. Like the leaves falling off the trees, we have to let go. We let go of people we love through death or distance. We let go of places we've loved. We let go of jobs, self-image, the illusion of control. Even though we're still in the Via Positiva on our Sunday schedule, everywhere I've been lately, people are experiencing the loss and grief that comes with it. And even if we haven't been personally beset with recent losses, we're aware of the losses around us in the world. Rising COVID deaths, spreading wildflowers, flooding rivers, earthquakes, hurricanes, suicide bombs, the extinction of species, and all that these global incidents imply for our future. When we turn toward the west with the calling of the directions, we see the setting sun, the final harvest of the year, the emptying out of the trees. This is the journey of the negativa. Now, we live in a culture that does not do grief well or easily. Some of us were taught to suck it up. Some of us have a spirituality that wants us to stay positive all the time. Some of us believe there's a timeline for grief, a time when it can come and a time when it needs to go. But grief will have its way with us, whether we like it or not. It doesn't always show up for us as sadness. It can show up as anger or guilt, shame or blame. It can show up as fear or anxiety, and even sometimes utter despair. Maureen Linneman and I have been part of a team leading ego grief circles over the past 18 months, and we're now working on a curriculum and leadership training program for them. We came together with several other folks, all pastors or chaplains or counselors, who were experiencing in ourselves and seeing in others a sense of overwhelm at the reality of climate change. And all of us had been climate activists in one way or another at one time or another, and each of us was sort of nearing despair that years or even decades of activism had not moved our global family in the direction that would save us from the ravages of climate change that we find ourselves in the midst of now. So our motivation for starting these ego grief groups came from a belief that until we had entered fully into the grief, we would not be able to move back into action. And we trusted that by entering the grief, naming it, feeling it, sharing it, we might find our way through to a new form of activism, a new level of inspiration. This is exactly the journey of the Via Negativa. The Negativa is a time we allow the emptiness, the darkness, the uncertainty to have its way with us. We often long to bypass this via. We fear that if we enter it, we may never come out of it. Have you ever been afraid to cry because you were afraid if you started, you might not stop? The beauty of the four paths of creation spirituality is that the negativa is not the end of the journey. Just as fall is not the season to end all seasons, nor the harvest the last possibility of crops, future crops, the negativa is not entering the end. But sometimes it feels that way. So take a breath and sink into a moment of letting go that you've experienced in your own life. And for just a moment, let yourself feel that loss. In this very community, we're experiencing a lot of letting go. Patrick Fitzsimmons extended his one-year contract from May through August, but will be moving on this week. And Patrick hasn't been able to be with us these past 2 Sundays because he's been caring for his elderly parents who are sick with COVID. And I learned this morning that this may be his mom's last week with us on this plane, this earth. Today is Daniel's last Sunday as our weekly band leader. And we'll take time, as we said, next week to bless and honor his 20 years in this position. So central to the life of this place and these Sunday mornings. My ministry with you will also come to an end later this year. And on top of all of the losses that we feel still so raw, Howard and Don's retirement, Amy's coming and going, the pre-COVID energy of a full rockin' house on Sunday mornings. Just take a moment and breathe in the reality of letting go of so much of what Jubilee has been. In the directions and in the four seasons, we turn from the emptiness, the uncertainty of the West, the letting go of autumn, into the cold and depth of the North. It might feel even more like death. It may look and feel that way at moments. This is that move from the negativa into the creativa. Now, creativa sounds so nice and bright. Who doesn't want to be creative? And maybe it will be a cheery time. But first, it is deep and it is dark. It's the root time, the time when the sap leaves the top of the trees and flows downward. It's quiet time, listening time, a time of integration and assimilation. It's the digestive tract of the vias, absorbing all the nutrients of all we've taken in and all we've lost. The creativa invites passion. The passion of conceiving new ideas and the passion of bringing them into the world. Creativa is the gestation and the birthing time. What wants to get born is getting in position near the birth canal. Bringing it forth is a time of risk. Will it survive the birthing? Will we? Are we ready to enter into the labor, the pushing, the opening up of what that's required of us to bring this into the world? Ooh, pause and breathe. Is there something in your life wanting to be born? Can you imagine what's being formed, what's growing? Where is your passion? Where is your passion? Sometimes this global pandemic has felt like a negativa and sometimes a creativa, and I think it's been both. A letting go and a gestation. Uncertainty and possibility. And it's been that for this community too. Jubilee entered this pandemic already in a bit of trauma, and the isolation from each other required more letting go, more uncertainty, more emptiness, more negativa. And yet this time also holds possibility. The digging deep to discover the passion at our core. The quiet of the womb before the chaos of birthing. Creativa. Let me tell you about this week for me. Last Sunday, while Candace was here speaking to you, I spoke at Jubilee Circle in Columbia, and it was delightful. There I was in a different city, a different setting, with a different band, with the Jubilee vibe moving through it all. Jubilee is bigger. than 46 Wall Street. Then on Monday, I gathered in this space with several current board members as the new board chair, Laura Ann Billings, led us through a brainstorming process of what might be next for Jubilee. And ideas flowed, both simple and wild. And then on Tuesday, we had our usual staff meeting with this team imagining this Sunday and beginning to think about the next via, envisioning how to bring music and ritual, visual and verbal beauty to you. And on Wednesday, I met with the retreat planning team for this afternoon's event, and the energy of ideas swirled. 4 days, 4 different groups of people, all birthing aspects of the passion that is Jubilee. I felt immersed in creativa all week, having had quite a negativa just the week before as I prepared to share with you my leaving date. And somehow I believe that one led to the other. When we empty ourselves in the negativa, we create space to gestate the future. So where is your passion for Jubilee? Are you ready to get down and dirty and conceive it? What gets your sap flowing? And what labor is required to bring it into birth? Take a moment. What's your passion for Jubilee? Then comes transformativa. Now, nothing about this journey is linear, so we can never predict exactly how the flow is going to go. But there is a pattern we can see in the universe. Spring follows winter. We see the pattern in the Christ story as well, from the miracles and joy of the positiva to the emptying out of the crucifixion in a stark example of negativa, to the darkness of the tomb in the creativa. And finally, we get to resurrection, transformativa. The beauty and the terror of the transformativa is that we can't force it. We can't control it. We can't make it happen. We can't resurrect ourselves. The transformativa is a time when all the joy of the positiva, all the emptying out of the negativa, all the underground passion of the creativa burst into life as something new, something healing, justice, undying love. Now, the followers of Jesus didn't recognize him after the resurrection. Mary didn't recognize him until he said her name. Thomas didn't recognize him until he touched the wounds. The disciples on the road didn't recognize him until he broke the bread. Apparently, the new Jesus didn't look anything like. Have you known moments of transformativa in your own life? New work out of failure, new love after heartbreak, new life out of death. Let them in. Let them all in. The vision of Jubilee is not just the vision of one man or one small group of people or even 32 years of community. It is a vision of spirit, a vision that came through one man. vision that grew for 32 years. A vision that is undergoing negativa in a damn big way. And a vision whose time in the negativa may be carving out a space deep enough for the wild and passionate womb of creativa. How can you be in service to this vision? This vision born of spirit, this vision birthed in love, this vision held by grace. Let the vision have its way with you. Trust, 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 trust the transformativa. The path of transformation, the way of resurrection. Breathe deeply. Oh, yeah. And now is a time of offering. And as you think about that vision and your particular connection to its passion, I invite you to just take a moment and imagine, what am I offering today? What am I offering today? And let your financial gift, as the bowls go around, be a symbol of that deep offering of resources, of trust, of love. And I just want to add that that music that you heard through that was based on Icarus,
Yeah.
which is one of Paul Winter's pieces. So when I reached out to Daniel and I said, "I'm sure you know Paul Winter," and then we had this back and forth about, "Woo, Paul Winter," and he said, "Yeah, we can bring Paul Winter into this." What's that? I know he did. Yes, Paul Winter played here. They did. He and they, I guess. Was it the whole consort or just him? Yeah.
So I, Howard, I went online when we were talking about this the last few days. I went online and found a version of that song, and in the comments down below, somebody said, "I saw the Paul Winter Consort in Asheville in like 88 or 89. Is that about when in 89? And they said, and they opened up the windows and the doors on either side, and they said there was a like thunder happening out there, and they said the band started playing the thunder, and it was this amazing experience of the music and the nature, the natural world, like intertwining. That's what that comment was. Yeah, how cool is that? But I was wondering, I reached out, I said, was that, do you remember the church where that was? It was here, huh? That's awesome.
Thank you. Let's bring our offerings forward to the table. And let's sing as we dedicate these gifts to God.
Peace of you to me, peace that lets us be, peace from me to you, peace is moving through this the river of love, and it flows
And remember that each via is part of the whole. So we can dance through the whole thing and just let that ecstasy have its way with us. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We'll know we're there. We will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It may be hard, we know, and the road may be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. 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 Oh yeah, yeah.
If you're staying for the retreat, remember to pick up your lunch, and we'll gather back here at 11:45.
Give a little, take a little, and let your poor heart break a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. Laugh a little, cry a little, until the crowd goes by a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. As long as there are two of us, got the world and all of its charms. When the world is through with us, we got each other's arms. You gotta lose a little, and always sing the blues a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. That's the story of, that's the glory of love.
That's the story of, that's the glory of love. Ubicaritas et amor. Ubicaritas Deus ibi est. With love and caring are, there is God. Where love and caring are, there is God. Head above your head and your eyes wide open, so this world can't find a way to leave you cold. You know you're not the only ship out on the ocean. Save your strength for things that you can't change. Give the ones you can, you gotta let it go. These things I warmly wish for you. Someone to love, some work to do. A bit of sun, a bit of cheer, and a guardian angel always near. Taking my mind back to 20-odd years, crazy how long it's been. Visions of good times that brought me so much pleasure makes me want to go back again. The just was ending today, and somehow
fall. Alright, but we know a dude, but we know a chum with a bottle of rum, and we just might be drinking all night. With these changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes, nothing remains quite the same. River and running and all of our cunning, if we couldn't laugh, we would all go insane. If we couldn't laugh, we just would go insane. If we were all crazy, we would go insane. To the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on. Greet the infinite sea below me. Sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor nor port have I known. Wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue-board home. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue-board home. The